There's a system that is designed to break young men today. The system is you're born, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, you die by 25, you lose your soul by 25, and you sort of get buried by 65. That particular lifestyle has guaranteed men these days to be what? Mediocre, average, not wanted, underskilled, underemployed. Even think about it, right? It's obvious that men, even in the school system, are already failing. Targets of the job market. So the goal is one thing you have to realize is the real problem is in the conformity. Conforming is the real problem because I suffered with conformity for years, stole my confidence for years. What made me snap out of conformity is when I started my self-improvement journey, right? Someone spoke about Nightingale. He's a popular guy. He has a popular recording. A very nice guy. He spoke about Nightingale, and I went and looked at his material. The first tape I played from Nightingale shocked me. He basically expressed what is happening today to young men. He says that, now, I mean, obviously I paraphrase here, but he says, if you look around you, the average life of a young man is like this. He is born, he goes to school, right? He sees his friends around, he plays with his friends, right? He's controlled with the same bell as his friends. He has the same teachers as his friends. All of a sudden, he begins to blend in with his friends. Then he might separate from his friends, maybe to go to a different college, or even go to the same college. And before you know it, they're done with school. Now, this is where it now gets more tricky. Now, he tells his friend later that, okay, come, would you mind coming to work in my factory? Because they have this, they have that, they have all these benefits. And before you know it, he says yes. That is the final nail on the coffin, that his soul is dead, because at that moment, he can no longer think for himself. He has conformed to the system. That's the main problem with men today, conforming. You see, I've been thinking, right, because when I'm coaching men, I keep on wondering, why am I seeing the same problems over and over again? And the moment I just thought about it recently, I was like, oh shit, it's conformity. You see, when we don't know what we want, it becomes very easy for us to conform, for us to assume that the other person who is working has figured life out. Even in primary school, I'll look at people around and wondering, that guy has life figured out, right? That lady has life figured out. But growing up in my 20s, I've come to realize even people in their 40s and 50s are still figuring life out. Life is supposed to be a journey, literally a journey, right? But guess what? People think the other person has figured it out. This is why everybody, man or woman, they are drawn to confidence. The problem I have with confidence, so the problem I have with confidence is confidence, you know what you are doing, makes you look like you're capable. But guess what? A lot of people are not capable. A lot of people don't know what they are doing. Most people don't. Like, they don't. So if you think people know what they are doing, man, you're in for a very big shocker. A very big one. And that's why Nightingale give another story, right? Of a man who sells clocks, rather. And every morning, he sees a man pass in front of his store. He will check the clock in front of his store and set his time to that clock. And he kept on wondering, why is this guy setting his clock every single morning he comes here? So one day he approaches the guy and says, sir, I see you here changing your watch every single day. What's the problem? Why are you doing that every single day? He says, well, he blows the quitting whistle at the office every day. So he wants to make sure that he's right on time to blow the quitting whistle. And the guy was like, he's been setting this particular clock based on the quitting whistle. And it's like, wait, the follower is leading the follower. That is where the real problem is. Are leading people who don't know what they're doing, thinking that the person that's doing the leading knows what he's doing. That just came out randomly. I did not plan that. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I was thinking, right, is conformity really a bad thing? It's really not bad if the group know what they are doing. So for example, our forefathers in the past generation, they had a goal. Let's pick America, for example, the American dream. In America, if you come here, if you work hard enough, you can build a home, you can build a family, and that is worth it. That was a dream. So guess what? People, the default system, the culture there supported that dream, supported that goal. That's it. But something happened. At some point, we became comfortable. And this, again, I'm going somewhere regarding conformity. I'm going somewhere because it's being hijacked. So all of a sudden, that goes off that down. What that means is there's no collective goal we are working towards as a community. So guess what? Now there's total chaos. When there's a goal, even though we conform, it feels safe. But now there is no goal to conform to. So what happens? What you have now is a few corporations who have billions of dollars spending so much to addict you. All they have to do is understand that they can put a few people in a few positions to make them feel like they have figured their life out and get you to be distracted by that facade. And it all boils down to you not knowing what you want. That's the real problem, right? So guess what? Social media is the source of conformity. You look at life on social media and assume that that person has his life figured out. Bro, I have been behind the scenes of some of these influencers, some of these guys. Even some rich guys don't really know what they are doing. Because why? Life is what you figure out. Life is what you live. It's what you experience. The person you're talking to, my friend who just turned 50 a couple of years ago, he just turned 50. He was never 50 before. What that means is he himself is figuring out life. And like I said, the one reason people conform is what? They don't have a path for themselves. Even if they have a path, one thing holds them back, right? Is fear. Afraid that if I want to stand out, everybody who I used to conform with will no longer love me for who I am. That is why I made a video on you have to become a bad person. Never be afraid to become a bad person. Not like somebody shooting people on the road, but somebody who is saying, you know what, I don't want you to validate me. I will validate myself. Because take it or leave it, that judgment does not really come from others. It comes from ourselves. And a huge experiment, a huge example is if you look at my vlogs, when I started, I used to be afraid to speak to the mic when I'm at the gym because people think I'm mad. But after the first, yes, people were staring at me initially, but after the first 2 or 3 weeks, I came to realize that nobody really cared. It's been months now, and short, people come to me and like, how am I doing it? And I'm like, literally, I just do it. I'm not here to say that I am better than anybody, but the point is that one, that fear of judgment doesn't really exist. If you watch my vlog, you can see there, it does not really exist. By the way, I vlog every day. It does not really exist. It's always in our heads. Now, what should you do as somebody who wants to break this idea of conformity? The first step, I won't give you a cliche saying because anybody who wants to make anything complex has something to sell to you. I have nothing to sell to you, but this system works for my students, right? Is first ask questions. Ask questions. The questions that kind of shape mindsets. Here, quick to the camera. The kind of questions you should ask are the questions that will shape your mindset. You're going to ask people questions, right? Not in a way of disgracing them, but in a way of confirming what I'm saying. When you ask them questions, you have to figure out if they know what they are doing and why they do what they are doing, right? And if you hear things like, because that's how it's always done, or because it's the right thing, then you begin to ask yourself, okay, who told you it's the right thing? A typical example is, why are you getting married? Like me, why am I getting married? Because I want to have kids and I want my kids to be raised in that balanced masculine and feminine energy. That's my reason. When I ask people, why do you want to get married? Then dead silence. I usually ask people, and whenever I ask people, it's like, it looks like a judgment on them. That's why you should be very careful when you're asking them. Now, the second person you need to ask question is yourself. Because again, you can study that people don't really know what they are doing now. What of yourself? You have to ask yourself certain questions like, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Or what do I really want out of life? That question is a very powerful question because most people never answer it. But let me give you a system that will make you answer that question without you having to buy a course. This is the question. What don't I want out of life? If I'm 60 or 65, what life don't I want to live? For example, is I don't want to be poor at 65 because you being poor at 60 or 65 guarantees you are very vulnerable to the system. Even though you're in America or in Europe, by 60 or 65 and you're poor, you are very vulnerable to the system. I'm asking to be a billionaire, but you being poor guarantees you are vulnerable. You only get what society wants to give to you. And guess what? We're at 7 billion people right now. Who the fuck cares about you? Who the fuck? So maybe your family gave birth, or maybe the family you created will take care of you. So what do I want out of life? What don't I want? Okay, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be unhealthy. I'm not giving an example. Okay, if you know what you don't want, right? What that means is automatically the opposite is you know what you want. So now what that means is you want to be rich while you're 65. While you're 65, you also want to be healthy. Let's imagine these are your two things. What that means is that, okay, now you figured out a vision of you being healthy and rich while you are 65. What that means is you now know what you want. Now you begin to craft your own path. This is a very shallow example though. Begin to craft your own path, an authentic path. This is like I said, it's a shallow example. I tell people that it has to be as authentic as fuck. Because if you know what you want, not conforming, be very easy. If you know what you want, not conforming becomes easier. But like I said, most people don't know what they want. So if you understand that it's that easy, I swear to God, you most likely never conform again. You'll be able to make choices with your full heart, knowing that these choices I'm making are for my path. They are not for anybody's path. So guess what? People don't really have to understand that, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because people will not understand because it is not their path. Like I said, the only thing stopping you right now is fear. Fear that if you step out of the default path, people will try to talk you out of it. Because people want you to be safe. Don't get me wrong. Some people want you to be safe. So they'll talk you out of it and say, no, it's risky. And I'm saying here because ever since I came into this idea, I have been taking decisions and people will keep telling me it's risky, it's risky, it's risky. But guess what? They almost always work for me. Most of the time. And one thing that I also got from El Nightingale that changed my life is, if you look at what most people are doing and you do the opposite of that, you most likely will never make a mistake in your life. Bro, that thing hits me hard. That thing is deep as fuck. Obviously, with your common sense, with context. Most people are eating bad, fucked up diets. Most people never work out. Most people conform. And it's that conformity that makes them have this idea of being safe. But you're safe. But guess what? You're slowly dying. I remember when I said back in the days, our forefathers used to have a goal, a collective goal. Even though it was population increase, it's a collective goal. These days, what we have now is corporations' goals, where corporations want to see you as an individual they can make profits from. And heck, that's one of my last vision is for guys to find that authentic voice, to find that voice in themselves, which is actually easy if you just want ask questions to realize that one, people don't know what they're doing. Two, ask questions that make you bring out your authentic part about what you really want to do with your life. And trust me, everything from there will actually become easy. So my name remains Tonore. I want you to share this video with somebody who you know will find it helpful, because such word of mouth referrals would guarantee that this video gets spread faster.